Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about a presentation add-on in Google Slides known as Pear Deck. This was brought to my attention by a team that I work with as a collaboration team, and this is something that one of the English teachers found and used. I have never used it in my classroom. In fact, I have never really messed with it up until I started working on this presentation. So we are kind of learning together to some degree. I have started and put a few things together for us to review. Uh, Again, the method is designed for presentation. I think it goes across all different curriculums, and it works across all devices. It works in all of the different browsers, so tablets, Chromebooks, even phones. It all works. And the great thing about this, what you're going to see, is that the teacher has a presentation, but each individual student has a unique screen. So when they're interacting with the presentation, it is their interaction on their screen, and then the teacher presentation offers kind of all of the feedback that's available. And we're going to look at several different parts. The ISTE standards that I have chosen for this particular one is the ISTE, let's see, 7B, which is formative and summative assessments, providing timely feedback and using technology, of course. So this is right up that. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of this add-on is for assessment. The other one was designer for 5C for creative to create innovative digital environments and engage learning. And the engagement is critical here. And you'll see how this really gives a lot of feedback to you as a teacher, not only about engagement, but also understanding. All right, so add-ons, Pear Deck. Okay, oh, there we go. We got get add-ons. You type in Pear Deck, it'll slap it up there. If you're not familiar with add-ons, go out there and check it out because there's a lot of really great stuff. All right, so for Pear Deck specifically, to create slides, this is you'll see this interactive Pear Deck bar here on the bottom, and so this is known as the warm-up slide. So coming up here in add-ons, the warm-up slide, and you can customize this question however you see fit. Okay, I'm going to have the feedback from my only student, which will be me, of course, for the top 2 favorite Thanksgiving foods. This is a great discussion piece and a great way to warm up heading into the holiday season. The next one I have is how do you, this is to you teachers, of course, I'll be the only one answering it, but how do you assess students on the fly? And I intend to make this a multiple choice slide, and I'll show you kind of how to do that. And then this last one, which is my favorite piece of it all, is how do you feel? Well, the question is irrelevant. It's a temperature gauge. Okay, so each individual student on their own device, the anonymity of it especially is important, will be able to give you an idea of how they feel about what you just talked about or what question it is you're discussing. And this gives you an opportunity then to assess the students right then and there on the fly. And now, granted, you're not assessing individuals, but the class as a whole, you're getting the temperature of the class as a whole. And for me personally, as a math teacher, this would be humongous. You know, if I had a big blob of dots over here on the right-hand side, down near the thumbs down, well, I know that I just failed at teaching, and I need to try again. And if I have a big blob, if it's something that I'm pretty sure they covered in middle school, and I kind of gauge their temperature, and there's a whole bunch of green thumb blobs, then I know that I can hit the highlights and push forward. Maybe spend some extra time on some other things. So it's very useful. I think, again, across all curriculum, science and history and all these different things, it's a great discussion piece for various curriculums. Okay, let's get going. So, so this, you just pulled up the warm-up slide, typed in a question, and I'll deal with that on the student interface. This one here, all right, we are going to do multiple choice for this one. So we come over here in multiple choices under the advanced. You see a couple of premium options here. We're going to go multiple choice, and it lets you put in your options. Okay. So option A, we will use Q&A. So the question again was, how do you assess your students on the fly? We're going to say Q&A. Maybe some of you already use Pear Deck. Whoops. And my personal favorite, teach and pray. I'm kidding, of course. But, so there you go. So we'll update that slide. You'll notice down here on the bottom, once that's updated, that it has your actual options in there. And so you don't have to worry or wonder if it came out properly. All right, and then finally, I threw this question in there just in general, and I'll show you that on the student interface as well. So the first thing I'm going to do, okay, so here we go. Ooh, let me get that straightened up. Well, that's not happening properly. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So the students will go to this Pear Deck login, and they'll be sitting here waiting. All right, now we are going to go to Pear Deck and present with Pear Deck. Now this takes a moment, so you're going to want to have this done probably as the students walk in. In fact, you'll be able to set up your own procedures if this is something that you're using regularly to where they know. You know, this is just on the board. You know, when you're getting settled, you sit down, you enter this code, and then you know you're waiting. You do get some specific feedback about how many kids have logged on. And that can be very helpful, too, to make sure that you actually have everybody again. All right. Oh, here we go. Here's our code T, E, E, Q, and G. Now, again, this right side will be from the student's perspective. This left side will be what is up on the projector. Okay. So no students have joined. Looks like we got one trying, and there we go. You're in. We have one student joined. So if you got a class of 29, well, you know, it's going to be 29 students, okay? You know that's all set. All right, here we go. We have all the students that we need. We're going to go intro to Pear Deck, and something is not happening. There it goes. Okay, took a little moment. Okay, but we're all in. All right, so intro to Pear Deck. Now, here's the deal. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food? So I'm going to tell everybody, tell all my kids, I want all their first favorites over here and their second favorites in the left-hand box. So you can draw a picture if you want to. I am no artist, so I will avoid doing that. You come down here to text. So my favorite thing in the whole world is my grandma's pecan pie. All right, and then this, I think, is pretty cool. You just kind of go somewhere in the box and click, left click, and there it appears. Now you'll notice it doesn't update live. That is a setting that you have to actually click. You'll see project student responses right here. We click on that, and now you can see it. And now it will update live. So, for example, my second favorite thing is my mother-in-law's stuffing. Cornbread stuffing. She stuffs the bird. It's just to die for. Anyway, okay, so this will go up here. I'm going to put this up in the upper left-hand corner, and right as I click, there it appears. Okay, so again, this is the big board. So this is something you probably want to have active while you're working. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of overlays. You'll notice while I'm still on stuffing here, if I would have put this on the left, right over grandma, that it does pop up right over top of it. So you want to go ahead and probably have that active while you're going. Again, you can draw. Let's see if I can draw a piece of pie here with my mouse. You can draw in responses. Oh, my Lord, that almost looks like pie. How about that? Anyway, it does show up relatively live, as you can see here. There is a bit of lag, but ultimately it's going to update live, and you can have some fun with that, especially if you have touch screens and things of that nature. Okay, moving on. How do you assess students on the fly? So this is the question on the board. Here are the options that we created. All right, so this is what's on these students' screens. And so as they answer, you will get feedback. I have one response right here. So again, if you have 29 students, you've got to wait for 29 responses. This is immediate feedback about who is participating. All right, so it says show content. So if you forget the question, or if the teacher shows the screen here and shows that live, then you can show content, show response, and either way, it comes right back to whatever you need it to do. All right. Um, Very helpful, right? I mean, to really get an idea of who is understanding, maybe some feedback questions. Again, you're working in your own Google Slides, and these are just sprinkled in order for you to kind of get that interactive feedback. Very helpful, in my opinion. All right, so that's pretty much that. Now we move on to the temperature gauge. This is, again, as helpful for me as anything, simply because, you know, as a math teacher, I get a lot of blank stares, so sometimes it's difficult to tell, and I feel like I have a pretty good, I don't know, a knack, I guess, for keeping my kids in order, but sometimes it's difficult to tell. So anyway, how do you feel about football on Thanksgiving? This is a conversation my wife and I had just last night. Thanksgiving is my favorite day of the year, largely because it is gluttonous and it is all about football. And so I am very much a fan of football. Okay. Now, again, I didn't have my responses activated. Once I do, your blobs will show up. Now that it's active, if I am answering on my wife's behalf, she is not a football fan, so she would be over here with the thumbs down blobs, and that it can update live, it can update when you want it to on the big screen, but again, it moves with you. Okay, so that is Pear Deck. I wish you well.